The day I cashed the ticket, I didn't smile. It wasn't shock or disbelief. It was pure clarity. 8 figures appeared in my account, bringing with them the perfect chance. Told no one. Not my parents, not my sister, not even my so-called friends. I wanted to see who stayed when I had nothing left to offer. Who would stand by me when I couldn't give anything back? And I already suspected the answers. 5 years ago, after losing my job, I called my brother first. He laughed, not kindly, but with that thin-lipped smirk that said, "Well, you made your bed." My mother encouraged me to stay positive, then asked if I could still help cover my nephew's school fees. My father didn't even answer the phone. Only one person showed up that week. My cousin Mia, carrying a paper bag, steam rising from the soup inside a thin plastic bag. She never asked when I'd pay her back. She didn't stay long, just made sure I ate. I remembered the betrayal hadn't come all at once. It was a slow burn. It started when I noticed my family's interest in me was always conditional. Birthdays only mattered if I hosted them. Calls were returned only when I had something they wanted. And when I lost things, my job, a partner, some of my health, they disappeared like morning fog. That's when I decided, if I ever regained power, I'd use it to reveal who they really were. Now I held that power in numbers that made banks uneasy. Began small. 3 weeks after the deposit cleared, I messaged the family group chat. I said I'd lost my apartment, water damage, everything ruined, and needed a place to stay for a few weeks. Silence for almost a full day. Then my father replied, "Hotels exist. Why are you bothering us?" 2 days later I called my brother. I told him my car broke down, and I couldn't afford repairs. Could he give me a ride to work for a month? He said his mornings were too busy and hung up. When I called Mia, no explanation was needed. "I'll pick you up tomorrow," she said, no hesitation. The next step was more intentional. I told them I'd been laid off, my savings gone, credit maxed, rent overdue. I made my voice small, like the version of me they were happy to ignore before. I asked for help. Not money, just groceries, a couch, a ride. One by one they excused themselves. My father suggested I move somewhere cheaper. My mother said she was struggling too and quickly changed the subject. My brother joked about me finally hitting rock bottom. Only Mia showed up, with bags of rice, cans of beans, fresh fruit. No questions, no pity. I kept the act going for 3 months. My hair grew long, my clothes wore thin. I played the part so convincingly they believed it completely. When I was ready, I invited them all to dinner. A rented banquet hall, white tablecloths, crystal glasses, the kind of place they'd never expect me to afford. I told them I'd been given a second chance and wanted to thank them for their support. I made sure to look each of them in the eye as I spoke. Mia arrived first. She hugged me and whispered that I looked better. The others came in pairs, suspicious but curious, sniffing for advantage. Dinner was quiet at first. Then I stood up. "I have a confession," I said, letting the room fall silent. 3 months ago, I won the lottery. The shock swept through them. My mother's jaw dropped. My brother laughed in disbelief. My father's eyes sharpened and calculated. "I didn't tell anyone," I continued. "Instead I asked for help. Small things, a place to sleep, a bag of groceries, a ride. Only one of you lifted a finger." I looked at Mia. Her eyes widened, and she shook her head slightly, as if to say I owed her nothing. I turned back to the others. "The rest of you taught me something important. When I was poor, I was a burden. When I'm rich, I'm a prize. So, I've decided my prize money will only go to the one person who saw value in me when I had nothing." Mia's hand flew to her mouth. I pulled a small envelope from my bag and slid it to her. Inside was a cashier's check for $1 million. Her eyes filled, but she said nothing. She didn't need to. The rest sat frozen, their faces shifting between disbelief, anger, and the dawning realization they'd just been cut out of something they suddenly believed was theirs. I let the silence linger, letting them feel its weight. Then I smiled, not cruelly, but with calm resolve. "Dinner's on me," I said. "Everything else isn't." I left them there, the white tablecloths between us like unbroken ice, and walked Mia out into the cool night air. It's been a year since. My family rarely calls anymore. Only on my birthday. I don't answer. Mia used the money to clear her debts, open a bakery, and hire 2 employees. Every Saturday, I sit quietly in the corner with a cup of coffee, watching her laugh with customers, her hands dusted with flour. I don't miss the others. I barely think of them at all. When I do, it's only to remember the night I stopped wondering if they cared. Because now I know and I'm free.